Seagulls hogging food shopping bags dropped by a delivery man in front of a house. A woman tasting mustard ice cream she thinks is lemon. A fisherman lured to the bottom of the lake by the fish he wanted to catch. And even more ridiculous footage awaits you this video. Here are the most ridiculous moments caught on camera. A strange and comical adventure happened in the southwest of England about 2 years ago. At that time, the virus was spreading dangerously, and the confined population was worried. A pregnant English woman living in Bristol was placed in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19. Complete rest was recommended, and she began to make a habit of ordering food from a British supermarket. But one day, while she was waiting for her groceries, everything went wrong. The delivery man arrived at the reclusive woman's house. He sees the steep hill he has to climb and is annoyed that he doesn't see the customer who could have helped him. He curses, drops all the groceries at the bottom of the stairs, and leaves without warning. A few moments later, the customer discovered with astonishment that the bags of groceries left in front of the property had attracted a colony of seagulls that had come to take all the food. Her husband ran over, scattered the birds, and discovered that they had left very little. The disgruntled customer published a story, which amused everyone except the supermarket. The company reimbursed the aggrieved lady and apologized profusely. In a live stream on Twitch, the increasingly successful influencer Juliana had an unfortunate experience and made everyone laugh at her expense. She wanted to impress the public by preparing a pizza in a beautiful way. Everyone was watching her with pleasure, and indeed, she had done it very well. But things went wrong when she wanted to show the admiring public the delicious preparation. With an energetic and confident gesture, she plunged the shovel into the oven and pulled out the appetizing pizza. But her moment was not delicate. The pizza slipped on the floor halfway to the work surface. All the ingredients spill onto the floor. What a mess! To make matters worse, the chef burned her fingers while trying to stop the fall. And after this disaster, she froze and made a hilarious face for several seconds. This experience will certainly have taught her that in the kitchen, whoever wants to do well should never hurry. A group of 5 friends got together to spend some time, and to have a fun time, they decided to go bowling. They weren't very good at it, but one of them was even less talented than the others, as you will see in these pictures. One assumes that he had never bowled in his life. The amateur gets into position, then he throws the heavy ball. Far from sliding on the track, the ball flies up to the ceiling and breaks and unhooks lights that fall in 1,000 pieces on the floor. The player knew he was clumsy, but he was shocked to see he was so clumsy as to cause a lot of damage. This game is definitely not for him, and he will try to remember that. This hilarious sequence features a horseback riding enthusiast in the middle of the dreary, swampy fields under a dull sky. She is tired of her horse's nonchalance, which refuses to jump an easy obstacle. So she comically decides to teach him a lesson. She explains to the horse that he'd better shake it up a bit, and that the task she's asking of him is very simple. And while the horse looks at her with boredom, she offers to demonstrate it to him. She goes for the slash, but her foot gets caught and she collapses in the mud. The horse is not more motivated, and the teacher gains, for all profit, a ridiculous and muddy stains on her clothes. Laurent Szabo is a young Hungarian man who loves fishing and has been doing it all his childhood. His pleasure is to go fishing in a lake in his country. He can stay there for a whole day because the place is nice. He went there on a beautiful day in June, and he was hoping for a good catch as usual. But his experience will be quite different. In these pictures, we see him waiting patiently among the foliage on the bank when suddenly his line is stretched. A massive fish bites the hook, and Laurent has a hard time pulling it out of the water. The resistance of the fish is as powerful as unexpected for Laurent, who is a little bewildered. And finally, it is him who gives in. The fisherman falls into the lake. His fishing rod is broken, and the big fish has run away. He only has to look for the debris of his equipment and to return home empty-handed. This man had a common sense idea, and he probably congratulated himself on it. He bought a dishwasher and is about to use it for the first time. He fills it properly, plates on the bottom and glasses on the top. For the rest, he lets his intuition work. He pours the washing liquid into all the compartments. He thinks in good faith that the more he puts in, the cleaner the dishes will be. A few moments later, he sees the full extent of his stupidity. When he opens the machine, the whole thing is foaming with foam. So much so that you can hardly see anything inside. All he has to do is manually clear the machine. If he doesn't read the instructions, this blunder will be a lesson for him, and he will go and buy the specific product for these devices. This young Asian woman is in a restaurant in a shopping mall. She orders a bowl of noodles, sits down, and gets ready to eat her meal. However, she forgets to take off her surgical mask as she is so used to wearing them, and she only realizes it when she swallows her meal. The effect is as funny as her reaction. Her mask and clothes are stained with sauce, and she looks around the room with shame to see if anyone has seen her during this very embarrassing moment. It just so happens that a customer is filming her. She blushes and immediately hides her face while laughing. We imagine that she will not be really comfortable during the meal. Admit it, it already happened to you. Here is a very funny joke imagined by a father who was a little bit facetious. It's easy to make, by the way. He fills his ice cream mold with mustard, puts the stick in it, and puts it in the freezer. A few moments later, the result is amazing. He is pleased to see that the mustard ice cream looks just like lemon ice cream. He slyly offers it to his wife, who is sitting on the couch with her newborn son. She thanks him and puts the indigestible treat in her mouth. But before she can even bite into it, the mustard stings her palate, and she makes such a grotesque face that it's hard not to laugh. The prankster laughs at his joke, but he must fear that she will retaliate. Perhaps she will force him to swallow all the frozen mustard. When you don't know how to play golf, it's hard to avoid ridicule. Usually, the kind of embarrassment you risk is stumbling while hitting the ball or throwing it at someone present. This man, relatively old, has given in spite of himself in a rarer ridicule. Behind him, his friends are waiting to see him at work. He stands in position and makes a very imperfect swing. He thinks he has thrown the ball, but in reality, he has only shaved blades of grass. Without seeing it at his feet if the shot went well, he scans the horizon, pleased with himself. He takes a few steps backwards and still doesn't realize the nullity of this moment. He turns his mocking face towards the assembly, while the ball that had not moved an inch is pointed out to him. When he sees it, he bursts out laughing, and his friends are even more hilarious than he is. They'll be laughing at him all night long. The footage you are about to see is from a CCTV camera installed in the corner of a room. The room looks so sad and the furniture is so poor that it looks like a prison cell. On either side of the room are bunk beds. On the left, a man is plunged into a deep sleep. Obviously, he is not sleeping well. His body is arched, and he must have slid insensitively to the side throughout his nap, unconsciously thinking he was making himself comfortable. Unfortunately for him, the bed is narrow and raised. He ended up falling sharply on the floor, and as he was unconscious during the fall, he could not absorb the shock. His head takes a nasty blow, and the lightning concussion must have woken him up instantly. For long seconds, he remains completely bewildered, without getting up or moving, without understanding what is happening to him. He starts to make monotonous complaints at regular intervals. Nobody is present around him to bring help. What is certain is that he would need a brain scan. These funny pictures are filmed from a car. It shows a truck with the back door open. Inside is a batch of steel reinforcing bars, which 2 employees have to deposit inside the building nearby. The maneuver is not complicated. The employee with the black cap is inexperienced and tries to do it right. But things start out rather badly for him. His grip lacks firmness, and he is close to dropping the heavy merchandise. However, his teammate remains focused. Now it's time for them to head for the entrance of the building on the left. The employee with the black cap, while carrying the end of the batch, turns his back to the destination. One does not know why besides. They make a few steps, one while advancing and the other backwards. But this one does not see where his foot lands. His heel hits the sidewalk, and he collapses by dropping all the metal parts, which collapse in a thunderous crash. At this noise, the person in charge runs at once, and, mad of anger, she scolds the clumsy one. This one rushes to pick up the bars on the ground. This time, he can carry out the delicate mission because he turns to the good side. You are now about to witness the most ridiculous game ever invented. It is a communication stunt invented by an American bookstore. This game is similar to hopscotch, which children love to play in the playground. However, the difference is notable. This game, set up by the bookstore, aims to amuse the customers who want to enter the establishment. In the sequence you are about to see, the game is played by a middle-aged woman on the instructions of the bookseller, who must be in her 50s. The bookstore sincerely thought it was doing the right thing by faking hopscotch. Instead of numbers on the sidewalk, it's squares, arrows, zigzags, command words, alphabet letters. The whole track leading to the establishment is polluted and multicolored symbols. The woman who's playing the grotesque game is surely an employee since she is wearing a badge. She follows with a wide smile the absurd rules that she sees on the floor and that the insufferable colleague repeats to her. She hops around, spins in circles, touches her feet, claps, and sings the alphabet letters that she tramples on. One must admit that the scene would have been more cheerful and true if the player was 7 or 8 years old. Here, unfortunately, everything sounds false and stupid. At the end of this long journey, she raises her arms in victory and enters the bookshop. After that, the bookseller warns that future customers should play the same game. One might have thought that this ad was aimed at creating a buzz precisely because of its ridiculousness, but it is not. This bizarre game did not go viral, and the bookstore did not get more traffic afterwards. It was a complete failure. Since then, the bookstore must have revised its promotional strategy. This is the end of our video where you could see some funny sequences so ridiculous that they may have made you uncomfortable. We hope you enjoyed them. Among all these scenes, which one really makes you feel the full force of the ridiculous? Don't forget, as always, to tell us your opinion in the comments section. And if you like this video, then don't forget to put a like, to subscribe to the channel, and to activate the bell in order to not miss anything of our next publications. See you tomorrow at the same time on the same channel for a new video.